Hello there, a very good evening to you and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. Our hopes that you had yourselves a great and productive Wednesday. Welcome to tonight's edition. These are the headlines. President Paul Kagame reiterated that Africans must take the lead and fight for the interests of and development of their continent. The central bank has cut the benchmark interest rate by 50 basis points to 7%. A very good evening to you once again, and thank you for your company on Rwanda Television News tonight. And as we kick it off, President Paul Kagame reiterated that Africans must take the lead and fight for the interest and development of their continent. The head of state made the remarks while addressing the 59th annual meeting of the African Development Bank in Nairobi, Kenya on Wednesday. In a dialogue on Africa's transformation, the African Development Bank Group and the reformation of the global financial architecture, President Paul Kagame highlighted what needs to be done for the voice of African continent to be heard globally.
Now, we are here discussing the situation as it is, where we find there are enormous resources in this world, but inequitably distributed. So Africa has to look at itself and look at the whole world as it's set up. And we know in this world, people, countries work for interests, their own interests. Africa's interests and the countries of our continent interests must be taken care of, beginning with ourselves. So, and we talk about speaking with one voice many times. It has to be one voice. It has also to be loud and clear and effective. For that to happen, we think about working together. We think about representation. And representation is not also just numbers. It's being able to speak out loudly and representing ourselves rather than having other people represent us.
The head of state further echoed contradiction with those who aim to improve the social well-being globally while trying to exclude the African continent.
So it is even in the interests of the rest of the world that has marginalized Africa to contribute to the well-being of our continent, because the growth of Africa, based on this middle class, feeds into the growth of the rest of the world. So they should even be accepting some of these proposals in self-interest, because Africa grows, the whole world grows. But Africa cannot wait to be handed this opportunity by anybody else. We therefore must be on the front line, really fighting for this right, and therefore for ourselves, but also which contributes to the well-being of the rest of the world.
And still in Nairobi, Kenya, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, met with the President of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto, on the sidelines of the 59th annual meeting of the Africa Development Bank. The two heads of state discussed ways to further strengthen bilateral ties between Rwanda and Kenya. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has stressed that it will continue to keep a close eye. On anyone who seek to disrupt the peace Rwandans have built in the past 30 years after the genocide against the Tutsi. The declaration was made as the commemoration event was organized by the ministry to remember victims of the genocide against the Tutsi. Sakshan Hwere with the details.
The event began by the paying of respects at the graves of the more than 250,000 victims of the genocide against the Tutsi buried at Gisozi, and presentations made centered on how the Tutsi were being persecuted long before the genocide began. When you realize that the first 10 commandments of the Hutu were made public in their manifesto back in 1957, that in 1959 Gitera also published his version, then in 1990 the physics professor Nezimana released an even uglier version of them, then you will understand just how bad the situation was. Genocidal ideologies that seek to destroy all the country has achieved were also discussed.
RPA cyangwa se inkotanyi zitangira urugamba umunsi wa mbere zari 400.
When the RPF in Otonyi began their struggle, they were 400 on day one. And by the time they stopped the genocide, they were 19,000. I told you that already. Today, those fighting genocidal ideologies are 13 million. And that is something to be happy about. The fact that 19,000 were able to defeat 1 million and stop the genocide in 3 months means nothing is too difficult for us now. The role of the youth in denouncing such ideologies was also not forgotten. Genocidal ideologies began to be taught long ago, and they are still ongoing today. Most of the Rwandans we have today were either born after the genocide or were just children when it happened, and the census done in 2022 reflects it. That means we must put a lot of effort in helping all Rwandans, especially the youth, to learn of our true history. Our history has been distorted and taught by those who have their personal interests at heart. Then there is the matter of Rwandans choosing their own destiny without external influence.
Induru hirya no hino byacitse amaradiyo amateleviziyo ibyandikwa iki internet noneho.
You get a lot of noise from televisions, radios, print media and even the internet all over the world, as if all hell is breaking loose here in Rwanda, when everything is fine. The weapons we have now are far more than we had 30 years ago, and they are more than enough to deal with any threats to our national security. Therefore, there is no doubt that we will win that war.
Igihugu cyacu icyo ari cyo cyose nta kabuza rero urugamba tuzarutsinda.
Officials in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation also noted that activities in neighboring countries that seek to negate the genocide against the Tutsi are proof that the international community did not learn its lesson from what happened here in Rwanda back in 1994.
The central bank has cut the benchmark interest rate by 50 basis points to 7%. This follows a 300 basis point hike last August to fight high inflation, which dropped from 20.2% in the Q1 of the year 2023 to 4.7% in the Q1 of 2024. Adam Squizera brings us the details.
The Monetary Policy Committee MPC of the National Bank of Rwanda has lowered the benchmark interest rate by 50 basis to 7% from 7.5%, bringing it back to the levels last seen in August 2023. Until August 2023, Central Bank had increased the policy rate by 300 basis points in a long tightening cycle that was aimed at containing high inflationary pressures. This is seen as a promising for stabilizing the rate of inflation, as the governor of the Central Bank of Rwanda, John Rwangombwa, explains. In 2023, the average inflation rate was 8.9%, which decreased to 4.7% in the first quarter of 2024.
Though I said we had good weather conditions for season A, and season B is also working out normally. But generally speaking, within the region, we've had challenges in the southern part of Africa, especially Zambia was a key supply of maize to this region. It was hit by drought, and so this might affect prices of food in general within our region. So these are underlying risks, but for now, our baseline shows inflation will remain around 5%. And so with these projected economic fundamentals, the Monetary Policy Committee decided to reduce the monetary policy rate by 50 basis points to 7%.
The report from the Monetary Policy Committee at the Central Bank of Rwanda also highlighted that Rwanda's economy continues to perform well, with an overall growth rate of 10% in the fourth quarter of 2023. However, the report also demonstrated a trade deficit between the exports and the imports of merchandise, which is one of the factors affecting the foreign exchange market.
Because of this higher growth of imports compared to exports, we see the trade deficit widening by 9.6%. And this continues to exert some pressure on our exchange markets. But when you look at the numbers today, by end of May, we are around 3% depreciation. Though there are still pressures on the exchange market, we don't expect it to be as we had last year. So this year will be higher than the average of around 5%, but will remain below 10%. At least that's a projection we see in terms of the exchange rate market.
In order to strengthen the use of technology in money transfers, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Rwanda, Soraya Hakuziyaremye, explained that the Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC, is expected to facilitate money transfers. The National Bank of Rwanda also highlighted the results of the quarterly report of the Financial Stability Committee, revealing that the sector continued to improve in line with the previous quarters. As of March 2024, the total assets of the financial sector increased by 10.8%, reaching more than 11,000 billion Rwandan francs from 9,113 billion Rwandan francs. In 2023, Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
The Monetary Policy Committee MPC of the National Bank of Rwanda has lowered the benchmark interest rate by 50 basis points to 7%, bringing it back to the levels last seen in August 2023. While speaking to RBA's Adam Squizera on Wednesday, Central Bank Governor John Rwangombwa attributed the cut to several positive economic signals on the local market, including the slowdown in commodity prices. Take a look.
For this time, we are coming from the press conference on the Monetary Policy and the Financial Stability Committee on the report of those both. So you reiterated on the reduction of the central bank rate, which was reduced up to 7.0%. And we saw this after some price speculations and the hike of the commodity prices at the market. So how can we link this reduction of the central bank rate with this hike of commodity prices we are seeing there at the market?
Yeah, thank you. I think one, from 2019, when we started the new monetary policy framework, this is a forward-looking monetary policy framework. And when we look at the economic dynamics for the medium term, or what we call the policy horizon, we see prices stabilizing and inflation stabilizing at 5% for this year. We know currently there are some commodities or items which prices have gone up because of seasonal factors like Irish potatoes, some food items. We've seen prices going up, but these are seasonal factors that won't affect the medium-term projection that we see. So we know that is happening. We know we had passenger fees increasing in April because government had removed the subsidy. But all this is already within the 5% projection that we see. So based on this medium-term projection, we see inflation remaining within our band and within our medium-term objective of 5%. So we reduce the policy rate to give a signal that we don't have any inflationary pressures, and therefore we are easing our monetary conditions to allow financing of the economy. So that is the basis of the reduction of our economy, of our policy rate, is because the projections, and as we said, this is a forward-looking monetary policy stance, the projections are positive and ease, so we are also easing the monetary condition to allow financing of the economy.
And we'll transition it to the parliamentary building. Parliamentarians have voted on the law governing people and families, with the issue on allowing marriage before the age of 21 causing a lot of debate.
The new law has maintained the legal age of marriage at 21, though it has also allowed for exceptions for those 18 years and older in special cases that will require the approval of the district civil registrar. Like on previous occasions, the issue caused intense debates.
narimvuze nizo mpamvu zumvikana hagize abantu bazazitwaza kandi turabaza abantu bangiza abana bariho barahari.
My point is that people may use those exceptions to take advantage of children, and we know that such people exist. To make matters worse, those exceptional cases are not articulated here, and we risk having many 18-year-olds getting married, far more than people old enough to actually make such decisions. Also, who's to say that there are no acceptable exceptions? If I were a district registrar, I would certainly take that stand, and I believe there are others who see things my way.
Mbasangize isi yo hirya uko bimeze. Ugera 16.
Let me share with you how things are in other parts of the world. 16-year-olds hold parties to celebrate their coming of age, yet here we are treating 18-year-olds as if they are babies that are not capable of making their own decisions. An 18-year-old here is capable of joining the military. Who are we to tell them that they can't get married? Face it, even those conditions we are calling exceptions will be done away with in the near future.
Mu minsi iza kuza zizavaho.
The provision in the law is not new, however, though how it is now going to be implemented is what is going to make the difference.
Mu buryo bwo gukorana kw'inzego gusanzwe byanze bikunze ibi bintu kubera yuko mbere byajyaga bikorerwa muri ministeri ngira ngo
It concerns how institutions are going to be working together on such matters. Before, I believe everything was being done in the Ministry of Justice, and now different institutions will work together, and any local leaders who feel the need to will consult the ministry, eliminating worries that they may mishandle situations.
zabijyaho inama ku buryo nta mpungenge z'uko bashobora kubikora mu buryo butari bwiza.
The draft law originally had 406 articles and one was eliminated, with another 88 remaining unaltered.
The Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, in partnership with the Rwanda Youth in Agriculture Forum, launched a program to help young people market their produce to restaurants and hotels in Kigali. Rwanda has made significant strides in hosting international conferences and other gatherings. Alongside a high number of participants in these conferences, the country's tourism sector continues to grow. The new program by AGRA and the Rwanda Youth in Agriculture Forum will assist young people in supplying foodstuffs to local restaurants, a move that has been applauded by restaurant owners as supplies are highly appreciated by customers.
So we get a lot of vegetables and fruits in our daily cooking. We make pizzas, we make tacos from Mexico, and then some fresh juice. And supporting youth. I'm actually youth myself, which I'm in a business, restaurant business, which been going on for I've been in business for 5 years, almost 6. And supporting youth is a big thing for me because, for example, like this youth we are supporting in agriculture, we are giving hand, but also they are making our life easier because we are getting fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and it makes the restaurant getting fresh, and it's very different when you have fresh ingredients in your cooking. Yes.
Agra noted that the program is significantly contributing to food safety.
Agra in Rwanda has a youth engagement program which is called YEFA, and YEFA is youth engagement youth engagement for the future of food and agriculture. And the program the main goal of the program is to create jobs for youth. Basically, it's about youth employment, because there is a huge challenge of youth unemployment, but there are also so many opportunities that youth can tap into and create jobs for themselves. Looking at this week in Kigali, there is a lot of traffic of people. People have come to attend the basketball tournament that's going on. There are so many events taking place, and we believe there are so many visitors in Rwanda. So with that in mind, we thought that it would be a good opportunity to help youth tap into the market, the current market that's available, and how would they tap in that market.
The Rwanda Youth in Agriculture Forum reiterated that during the Restaurant Week, which started on May 27th, 2024 and will run until June 1st, 2024, discussions with financial institutions will be held to address financing issues for young farmers.
So for access to finance, we are now in discussion with one of the banks in Rwanda. Yesterday we held a meeting where they can provide invoice discount. If I supply to the restaurant, how about if they are paying me in 45 days and I need, for example, 70% or 75% of the money that I have spent, because, we don't have inventory as you. Sometimes you have the money you use we learn our business on cash basis, so we don't have any reserve, but this bank, they are very open. And they were telling us, even we have more product. It's not only about invoice discounting. So we're looking forward to be able to connect them with that. There's BRD. BRD also is a very good partner with RIAF, and we are looking forward to work with them. We have a BDF, and then also Bank of Kigali and other banks, so that we are looking forward to work with them and make sure that all these challenges we are facing as youth is going to be resolved. Because in the end of the day, also this restaurant, they are going to continue to ask more orders. So how can we increase the quantity? Even now, the orders that we are rejecting because we don't have capacity, or maybe we are not meeting the standard, how about maybe next year we can be able to do it? How about in December? So I think even though we are not able to supply today, we are really promising that tomorrow we can be able to do it as we continue to work on the challenges that we are facing as youth.
The Restaurant Week was organized to enhance understanding of sustainable systems that can support youth involvement in agriculture. On Wednesday, two independent candidates, Thomas Habimana and Fred Barafinda Sechikubo, submitted their candidatures for the July presidential elections to the National Electoral Commission. The National Electoral Commission has indicated that while there are a few hours left to the nomination process for those who want to campaign in the elections, a total of 6 candidates want to run for the presidential seat, and which include two submitted by political parties and 4 independent candidates. On the other hand, those who submitted candidates to vie for parliamentary seats in special categories have reached 207. Receiving candidates will close on May 30th. And moving ahead, investors and decision makers in African countries feel that efforts should be made to capitalize on the potential of African continent people. This was revealed in a meeting on the talents and intangible assets of Africans, organized in collaboration with companies led by the Africa Soft Power Group. Participants say Africa is rich in the wealth of its inhabitants and its people and unique talents, hence the need to capitalize on that.
Sort of connecting, seeing our power, sort of like harnessing our networks to bring African thought leadership into global conversations, whether it's about the critical issues of our time. So for example, climate change, what are the African voices in those conversations? Gender equality, What are the African voices in those conversations? How are we propelling ourselves? How are we bringing our leadership into rooms where we're not normally in? Those are the core and critical things that we're trying to do. And of course, connecting Africa and the global diaspora, also connecting Africa to the global economy.
The opportunities for the youth and women who constitute the majority of Africans are diverse. Gerhard Menser, a director of the Africa Property Network, and Pierre Terak, director of Science, believe that while the continent is rich in areas such as sports, culture and entertainment, it lacks the resources and knowledge to fully exploit the opportunities.
Ours is a strong interest in Pan-African trade, in intra-African trade. And when you talk about intra-African trade, it relies predominantly on the SME sector. And the majority of players in the SME sector in Africa are women.
The approach we have is that we want to bridge between the innovation that we already have, because we are actually present in the market for 30 years, but we are just new in Africa, let's say. So we want to take this innovation part, all the new technology, the AI, the machine learning, all the new things that are trending today, and bring that into the market and take benefit from the youth that is here.
And Michaela Rugwizangoga, the RDB Chief Tourism Officer, called on the continent to unite efforts towards achieving collective goals.
I think it serves as a powerful platform to showcase the achievement of Rwanda in gender empowerment, in technology, in the art, in culture, but it also serves as a platform to learn from our fellow brothers and sisters from Africa.
The Africa Soft Power Project, ASP, is focused on harnessing the continent's creative, culture and knowledge industries to propel itself forward while championing the inclusion of Africa and diasporan voices in global discourse. Ultimately, ASP seeks to showcase the continent and what is unique in the perspective that can bring the modern global economy at large. And that's all from us here at RBA's Rwanda Television News. On behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us. And up until next time, stay safe and have a great evening. Goodbye.